News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. Canada struck back at the United States with retaliatory tariffs on about $20 billion of American goods, including steel, dairy products, appliances, and farm equipment. Canada's Minister of Finance, François-Philippe Champagne, says this was the result of collapsed trade talks.
The terms proposed by the U.S. administration were uneconomic, unfair, and ultimately unacceptable. They asked too much of Canada and offered too little in return.
Canada's government unveiled a $7.5 billion package of support measures for Canadian businesses, including liquidity support, grants, and an extension of employment insurance programs in affected sectors. President Trump has threatened to rename Lake Ontario as Lake America in a social media post, escalating his war of words with Canadian officials. The trade dispute has strained the economic relationship between the U.S. and Canada, and it presents a challenge for President Trump ahead of the November midterm elections. Sources tell Bloomberg that CIA Director John Ratcliffe has traveled to Russia for meetings. Russia's state-run TASS news service reported a U.S. military transport plane landed in Moscow today. No comment from the CIA. The White House and State Department have not yet responded to a request for comment. The visit was reported earlier by CBS. It is not clear if the meetings were about U.S. efforts to end Russia's war against Ukraine. Xi Jinping's government is sending a message of defiance to Donald Trump over China's economic ties with Iran. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian says China will take all necessary measures to safeguard its interests after the U.S. sanctioned dozens of Chinese entities. China is not likely to cut ties with Tehran without getting something in return. And Turkey is at risk of losing a significant portion of its energy needs, as Iran is one of its biggest natural gas suppliers. Crude oil is lower at this hour. WTI near $82 a barrel. Brent crude topping $88 a barrel. Stocks moving modestly higher as those oil prices continue to slide. And we do check the markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 up 0.25%, NASDAQ up 0.5%, the Dow up 0.2%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.64%, the 2-year yield at 4.19%, the 30-year Treasury yield at 5.17%. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index is 1.25% higher, led by Marvell Technology, which is more than 5.5% higher. Apple announced an upgraded Mac Mini and Mac Studio desktop computer with major processor upgrades. The new machines are available to pre-order and will be in stores September 22nd. Apple shares are 0.2% lower. OpenAI says its new jalapeno chips perform better than NVIDIA's processors in two categories: the amount of AI work it can handle per unit of power and its speed at returning responses. OpenAI created jalapeno in a partnership with Broadcom. It plans to start using the new chips to support its AI models later this year. Meanwhile, NVIDIA shares are about 1% higher as we await earnings after the closing bell tomorrow. Consumer confidence fell in August to the worst since the start of the year on a deteriorating outlook for business conditions and the labor market. The Conference Board says August consumer confidence fell to 89.4. Estimates were around 90.2. Bloomberg's Michael McKee says respondents to the survey were more negative about future job and income prospects.
Now, the expectations index is a big drop, 68.2 from 74.4. And so it looks like people are not happy about the direction of the country at the moment.
The report suggests high gas prices and broader cost of living pressures alongside a slowdown in hiring continue to weigh on American households this month. Boston Fed President Susan Collins says she supports holding interest rates steady for now, but conditioned that on seeing more progress in bringing inflation back toward the central bank's 2% target. Collins noted that there are upside risks to inflation from additional adverse supply shocks and a stronger than expected pace of economic activity, including upward pressure on core goods inflation from the AI build-out. United Airlines is adding 10 destinations in Europe and Asia to its network next year. CEO Scott Kirby says customers are ready to fly.
Growth rate internationally is going to be significantly higher than domestic. We have great hubs for it. We were born on third base for international expansion. Newark is a phenomenal hub. It's the best hub for flying across the Atlantic.
United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby on Bloomberg surveillance. United Airlines shares are 1.5% higher. U.S. new home sales declined in July to a 6-month low, indicating higher mortgage rates are choking off demand. That's news when you want it. With Bloomberg News Now, I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.